Now we go to the West Coast. This is a very interesting series between the fourth-seeded Phoenix Suns, as you mentioned earlier, with Mr. Kevin Durant now, as he is back, going up against the LA Clippers and number 2, and I guess Russell Westbrook, because Paul George looking like he's going to be out this series. So basically, do you think the Clippers can pull off an upset, or you think the Phoenix Suns take care of business?
I'm going to go with the Suns here. Honestly, I feel bad going chalk, but the fact that Paul George is not going to play really worries me, because you're going up against Kevin Durant, and this is not a guy that you can ignore. And I don't think that they have any single defender that you're like, all right, put that guy on him and let him work, outside of like Kawhi. But even Kawhi, I mean, like, he's not the same defender he was like back in the day, because he's dealt with injuries and all these different kind of things. And also we know that when you got to sit there and you're going to put all your defensive effort trying to stop Kevin Durant, like your offensive game is going to struggle too. And Kawhi is pretty much their main initiator of offense. So I'm going to go with the Suns here. I'm going to say Suns in 6. I do think the Clippers have the team to make it interesting. I mean, I think that Batum and Robert Covington are really interesting small ball options you can use, and you can throw both of them at KD to try and get different looks, because they're both decent defenders. You got Bones Highland, Eric Gordon, like you said, Russell Westbrook. So you got some guard options, Norman Powell. Like they have a lot of like B, C tier options that I think can like have a game or two that can really like show up. But ultimately, I mean, you're going against Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. Like the offense that roster can provide, I just think is going to be a little bit tough for the Clippers, specifically without Paul George. If Paul George was there, because of the added offensive capabilities he does, and once again, just another body to throw at Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and make things, like it just makes life easier for everybody else when you're like, you can rotate people. Then that would be a coin flip, but because he's not there, I think I'm leaning towards the Suns. I could see it even still go 7, because like I said, the Clippers, I mean, they got a lot of really good players, but I'm going to lean towards the star power the Suns got.
I am as well. And yeah, I just may want to highlight, like you said, the Paul George injury too, because if he is available, and let's say, it does. If he were available, like you already kind of mentioned, alluded to, it would just put more of the onus on CP3 and Ayton, who CP3's definitely hitting the end of his career. I think we've seen that definitely this past year, or not available a lot, and even when he was, he hasn't been the scorer that he once was. And then, as we all know, Ayton, just we know very well from our resident Suns fan that not really aggressive at even when he does have a mismatch at times. So if you put the onus on them, maybe the Clippers, I would feel more confident the Clippers winning the series overall, stealing more games. But it is you can only play with the cards that you have. So yeah, I'm going with you. I think Phoenix wins this in 6. It'd be very interesting to see if they can what role players and who Monty Williams will go with, because Kevin Durant was out for some time, Devin Booker's missed some time this year. I mentioned Chris Paul's been kind of in and out of the lineup, and they did kind of gut some of their core roster to trade for Kevin Durant, so it's still a lot of kind of filling in the pieces a little bit, seeing how they all fit. But yeah, end of the day, I still think Phoenix takes care of business. So just unfortunate that the Clippers, they just can't stay healthy, right, going at all. It's just very unfortunate, because I like Lou Williams. like you said, I like all the different things they can do with their wings, and they've made it work at the big man position to be suitable. And they just don't ever have all their chess pieces, unfortunately, to start. So
I do want to add real quick too. Yeah. I really like that point that you brought up of like, if Paul George was there, it puts the onus more on the secondary and third, tier of players, because like you just think in terms of your mind, all right, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I don't know if Kawhi and Paul George can quite match their consistency of scoring output, but if KD and Booker are going off for 30 apiece, I know that Paul George and Kawhi are capable of matching that. So then that means, can Chris Paul, DeAndre, and like you said, some of those other guys, can they match the Norman Powell, Russell Westbrook, Eric Gordon, all like their scoring outputs? I'm not quite sure. That it may, once again, that maybe I might lean Clippers if that was happening. But without Paul George, that means some like those Eric Gordons and those other guys, they're going to have to step up and be that second scoring option. And it doesn't have to be, one guy the whole series. But if Kawhi is going to go toe to toe with KD, then somebody's got to go toe to toe with Devin Booker in terms of that scoring output, because we know that he's going to score, right? So, yeah, that's why it's just tough to go with Clippers.
And sorry, add on to foul trouble. Like foul trouble can be a thing. So now let's say number 2 gets in foul trouble. You don't have, he has to get off the floor. Man, you're losing a lot on both ends of the floor, as opposed to if you had Paul George. Well, okay, it doesn't hurt the blow. You still have Paul out there on the floor while, number 2 sits out the rest of this quarter because, they've got 3-4 fouls and, you don't want them to foul out. So just things like that become more prevalent in the playoffs since, like I mentioned earlier, you're shortening your benches for the most part. And, you need your guys available. So we'll see if LA can pull something off, or the Clippers, excuse me, because there's another LA team we'll talk about later.